Hello, internet friends. My name is Bay, and we are back right at it again, where I was probably somewhere about 2 years ago. Welcome to the Battle for Azeroth, currently alpha testing videos. The first pass, this is the Demonology Warlock. So there are going to be some slight changes to how the format of this will work, and how you can digest the content at your leisure. Of course, my channel guide will have all of the YouTube videos, which you are currently watching right now. It'll have a listing of all the YouTube videos. They're also going to be in a playlist right here on the channel anyway. And of course, if you are new to the YouTube channel or finding out about all this stuff and want to see the rest of the testing that I will do, because there's going to be like 100-something videos coming out for Battle for Azeroth over the course of the next few months or so, then you can subscribe right here on the channel, or go check out the Twitch live stream where all of the learning and all of the minutia and inside baseball madness happens over there. Of course, links down in the description box here on YouTube, as well as the whole Twitch VOD situation we did last year, or 2 years ago, is now a full recorded VOD uploaded separately. It'll be also on YouTube. I will repeat myself a few times in the first couple of these, as these are the first new ones, but after you get that, figured out and we go from there, then we can just keep going with these, because there are 36 specs, there will be 72 videos, most likely I made over 140 videos or something ridiculous during Legion beta. But let's get right into this, shall we? So the format that I want to go through here and walk through as we go is, let me bring over my notes so I can actually just read them off to you. I want to touch on what has been changed or removed, what is now baseline before your talents, and then what your talents look like and the combinations therein in this current build on today, February the 28th, 2018. And there obviously will be changes, and as the alpha goes to beta and whatnot, and all the feedback we find, if you want all the inside baseball stuff again, if you want all that, check out the VOD version. And then I'll show off spell animations and effects, but of course those could obviously change as we go through. Sadly, right before I was going to record Warlock stuff, they did revert the awesome Shadow Bolt change. So now Shadow Bolt kind of looks kind of poopy. I think anyway, it's the old version, but that's not a big deal. I'm not going to go through as many rotational combinations. You guys can figure that out in the comment section below. You can talk about it on Twitch and stuff like that, or hit me up on Twitter. But I don't want to belabor that too much, because obviously I am a fledgling in all of this. But as we sit right here in the royal chambers of the Horde capital, the music in the background, of course, is just playlisted stuff that I have rights to use. I'm not going to spoil any of the music for you. The music is playing in the background of the VOD, and there'll be light spoilers if you don't want to see location stuff, but I need to target dummy things to shoot spells and stuff, so I can't really do anything about that. But what has been changed or removed, you wonder? So obviously, when you log in and you go into the transition from Legion to battle, you lose your artifact weapon. All of us do. It's all poof gone. So Thalkeel's consumption and any of the associated talents and hooks and traits with Thalkeel the Skull are gone. As you see, our little warlock sitting here right now is using a staff. You of course can still use the offhand and main and like one hand offhand combo. The template characters don't have a main hand, like one hand dagger or anything, so I can't do that. So we have a staff on. So if you do still like that style, you can, and you have to transmog to any of the Thalkeel skulls. So maybe no staffs for demonology. Demonic empowerment gone. I'll even go over real quick to the spellbook to show you it's gone. Totally gone. See, you don't see it anywhere, do you? In this current build, your mastery doesn't work. It still talks about demonic empowerment increasing the damage of your demons, but again, demonic empowerment is gonzo. Poof gone. Poof gone. It's out of here. Summon Infernal and Summon Doomguard are also gone. So your old school cooldowns you had in Legion that have been like rotated around and changed throughout different expansions here and there, those are gone. As you see, Doom is also gone and Demonic Empowerment is gone. So your main cooldown now has been all replaced with Demonic Commander. So that is your baseline cooldown that has a lot of different interactions with how the new reworked demonology is going to work. Life Tap has been removed from all Warlocks. Also Empowered Life Tap, the Talent or Mana Tap in its earlier version, all gone. And for Demonology as well, Demon Wrath also removed. Doom was moved to a talent, which I have talented here. As you see, any of the abilities not on my hotbar right now are talents. So we'll talk about those as we get to them, of course. But Doom is a talent and currently doesn't work as it's supposed to right now. It says limit 1, but you can still cross-dot with it. And also it does its damage on cast. And if you refresh it with the pandemic, it breaks it completely and it won't ever do its damage. So again, bugs, alpha. Drain Life, baseline, of course, for all Warlocks. Really only a heal now. It does no damage, but the coefficient on Drain Life to actually heal you is 600% of the damage it deals. So it's a kind of a okay heal, but it's basically just the heal as well. If you're curious about mana costs, and you'll see as we start casting spells downstairs in the target dummy room, mana for Warlocks really isn't a thing. You can kind of burn through mana if you are going through a lot of utility items and utility spells. But overall, it's very, very, very noticeable that you don't use mana at all. Hence why mana tap and, life tap is gone. In this newest build, Implosion is your baseline spell for AoE now, and there are some shenanigans with Implosion that may or may not happen depending on tuning. We also have Molten Core returns to Demonology Warlocks, which I'm going to turn my music down a little bit. Molten Core returns to Demonology Warlocks, so Imps summoned by any source also work off of a energy system. I don't know why there's two alsos there, but the energy system, so it has a flat duration is how Imps work now. Imps use energy now, like behind the scenes. So if you swap targets and have Imps out and they're not casting, they don't just suddenly die. And if you change targets and they start casting again, they'll start using their behind the scenes energy and then they'll time out with their energy, basically. The UI does not represent this at all, nor does the UI show the proper duration increase with your Demon Commander stuff, which more on that later. Called Dreadstalkers, which is a core ability of the Demonology Warlock, has had its cooldown reduced to 12 seconds from 15. Cast time remains 2 seconds before haste. Duration of the Dreadstalkers reduced to 8 seconds from 12, so they are up more often as a button to press, but have a smaller duration to be used more as a very much a builder spender style versus how they were up only so often before. Dark Pact, which is a talent, is the 20% HP shield, but that is using your HP as a Warlock, and it's only a 250% shield down from 400%. That's just because of probably some tuning and changing in how numbers work. Soul Conduit was nerfed. It was 20% chance. Now it's only 15% chance. Your Felguard's Legion Strike no longer cleaves. The Soul Leech passive healing has been reduced to 8%. If you go over to the tooltip right here for Soul Leech, it's only 8% and 10% of your max health. Unless, of course, you then talent into Demon Skin, which brings back the 15% that you're used to on live right now. The Grimoire talent tier, or Grimoire, or it's Grimoire. Talent tier has been changed for all Warlocks, but we'll see that later. The Shadow Fury stun is baseline for all Warlocks. Stun reduced to 3 seconds from 4. Cast range increased to 35 yards from 30. Cooldown increased from 30 seconds to 60 seconds, so it's a minute-long cooldown now. And the biggest thing that I want to show off before we go downstairs here real quick, I have to drag them out. If you noticed it earlier, then you probably did because you're a Warlock and you rejoiced in the fact that this happened. Yes, your Demonic Circle has both abilities back now. No more stupid cancel aura macro madness. you have both of your buttons for Demonic Circle when you talent into it. So you can very easily handle your Demonic Circle now, because the Legion 1 button nonsense was nonsense. Let's head down here real quick, and I will use this time to sort of talk about the testing we did over 3 hours. We broke apart a lot of how the new auto attack and melee physical animation or physical damage system works, not animations, for your Felguard. The one thing that I did report in my notes is that, so you don't have a pet window anymore as a pet class. You don't have like a pet tab so you can see your stats and your pets, whatever. It's gone. So on the pet tab in your spellbook, Legion Strike does 83% of its weapon damage. But what's its weapon damage? Also, it does more damage than its basic attack, which is weapon damage. So again, Alpha. Fellstorm, same thing. It hits for just barely under an auto attack, but it only says 33% weapon damage, which shouldn't be a thing. As well as Pursuit does 16% weapon damage, but it still hits relatively hard right underneath. So there's something wrong with either the tooltips, Blizzard tooltips, or not. But considering you are a pet class, it is obviously really important. Where am I going? I always do this. I go to the wrong direction on this freaking huge temple. You are a pet class, and if your pet spells aren't really well organized and put together and clear for you to read, then that becomes an issue with, well, what damage does my pet do? Side note on pets as well. This is the same thing for all warlocks. The only difference is, of course, is the Demonology Warlock has probably a better overall synergy with their Felguard, because of the Felguard being a better pet overall than the other ones, at least because it's specialized and because their master will increase pet damage in some regard. All other pets, Voidwalker are sort of excluded from this because it has like an AoE ability to heal itself, but it does light damage. So your Fell Hunter, your Succubus, and your Imp are all utility. Their damage is nearly identical across the board. And I'll go over this, of course, in the Affliction and Destruction Warlock videos more, because they used to have synergies with either of those specs, like Imps and the Fell Hunter. Now it's just whatever pet you need for the situation, that is the pet you choose. Unless you're a Demonology Warlock and you literally only use your Felguard. So that's, you know, but that's fine. But anyway, the baseline changes here that have happened to the, let me bring up my notes again, that have happened to the Demonology Warlock are substantial, because most notably Molten Core and your Demon Commander. So your Soul Charge is still here. Your Soul Link, of course, is still here. Your Soul Leech, we said, is a little nerfed. Molten Core. Wild Imps are almost a resource that you use because of Implosion coming back, which you catapult your Imps into the target and destroy them. But Molten Core, whenever your Imp's energy is expended, whenever they're about to expire naturally through using their auto attack, their little fireball spell, they have a 15% chance to combust into a ball of energy, granting you a stack of Molten Core. Molten Core reduces the cast time of Soulfire by 75%, and it has 4 stacks. This is a huge proponent to how Demonology will play depending on your build, because Soulfire, whereas right now, again, damage numbers are kind of wonky, Soulfire generates 2 shards. So you get combos like what you just saw there, where I have almost 12 Imps up at once. Which is very much how, I mean, you can go Molten Core into Imps now, into this, into Dreadstalkers. Obviously, Dreadstalkers take a higher priority. But the spec rolls really quickly depending on how many stacks of Soulfire you get, because of this very well, it just feels really good. First off, obviously the animation or the spell effect for Soulfire is probably still placeholder, because it's just Pyroblast right now. So that'll obviously be changing as they update things in the future. But there's 2 procs back to back. So there's Imps into Dreadstalkers. It's still very turrety, but don't freak out just yet. Don't freak out just yet. Demonology Warlocks, it's okay. There are lots of possibilities when we get to talents here. So, all right, calm down, calm down, calm down. So you also have, again, Shadow Fury baseline. Still has a cast time, very short cast time, which apparently makes it a dead spell. But, I mean, I can instantly throw Capacitor Totem, but a Capacitor Totem or Lightning Surge Totem on my Shaman has an activation time. You can just walk away from it. So both stuns overall and CCs in Battle for Azeroth are heavily changed. So we'll see how that works. Again, Shadow Bolt, as you saw there, generates 1 Soul Shard, and it's the old Shadow Bolt animation. There was a very new one that was at least for Affliction, so we'll see if that ever comes back, or if they're working on that in another build. We still have all your basic stuff. Hand of Gul'dan is still the up to 4 Imps, still 8 yards, 40-yard range. Fear is the same. I have Kilrog the same. Slave Demon, Drain Life, has a new spell animation. And again, it's just a heal. It does no damage. But if you need to heal yourself, obviously outside of a Health Stone or other Warlock cooldown, that is how you will do so. And it has a weird 600% modifier because obviously you don't have any traits on an artifact to help this anymore. Maybe until Azerite gear, of course. And of course, Demonic Gateway is still the same. Again, your Demonic Circle and your Teleports now have both spells. Soul is the same. Hellstones, Call Dreadstalkers, I went over that a little earlier. Banish is the same. And all of the activatable abilities for your pets, your Command Demon ability, are all the same. So, talents is where things are going to be changed up here. And the first thing you need to explain about talents is that Demon Commander and how it interacts. Your new major cooldown, it's a 90-second cooldown, 1.5 minutes, 40-yard range. I will summon him multiple times in this video. He doesn't do anything. He does his passive buffs. When he gets summoned, he lasts for 15 seconds. He adds 15 seconds onto all current summoned demons. Caveat: he does increase the duration of Imps, your Vile Fiend, your Grimoire of Service, any of your inner demons, and Nether Portal demons are all increased. But the Bile Scourge Bombers, which I'll show off in a moment, basically is just Rain of Fire reskin to be Bile Scourge Fellbats that die for you. Does not have any impact on them. They're not a summon demon. They are an AoE effect. So any other demon, we tested all of them on the live stream VOD. They all get the increased damage of 15% and the increased duration of 15 seconds. However, because you're thinking, well, I lost my Infernal for an AoE cooldown, right? And you lost Demon Wrath. The Demon Commander will Shadow Bolt volley every target around you. He just doesn't do any of that right now. Like, even if I'm in combat, he won't do anything. That part is still broken. And again, remember this too, he has to be summoned after you have Imps or Dreadstalkers or Nether Portal or your Grimoire of Service, for example, right? He's summoned after the fact. He kind of acts like that Demonic Empowerment playstyle, but obviously on a much more cooldown base because he's a 90-second cooldown. But that is a huge part of how the entire class will play. Getting your Dreadstalkers out, or at least weaving like a Hand of Gul'dan, Dreadstalkers, Hand of Gul'dan based on Soulfire procs from the previous Hand of Gul'dan to have out 10 to 12 Imps and your Dreadstalkers and your Service Demon and maybe your what's he called, this guy, the Vile Fiend, and then you drop your Demonic Commander, adding 15 seconds and 15% more damage to all of them. And the zoo can be real. The zoo can be real. I'm not going to do too much of that in this video, but if you want to see more of that, of course, check out the VOD, because we summoned, let me see, 6, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I think I got 20 demons out at once. We'll try to do that in the video toward the end. But it's obviously, there's been some RNG in regard to that. But I think I had about 20 demons out at once on the screen at one time. So if you like that fantasy, there you go. So again, Doom is broken. And the one thing I will tell you about looking at the talents here real quick, and I'm not going to go through too many builds, is because this area where I'm in right now doesn't count as a rest area, so I have to keep burning these Tomes of Tranquil Mind to change talent, so hopefully it doesn't annoy you, but it is kind of frustrating. But Doom is broken. It does damage when you cast it, like Shadow Word Pain. I don't know why. And it doesn't pandemic anymore. So be it, right? And if you recast it to pandemic it, it will not have the tick when it's supposed to behind the scenes anymore. It just breaks. It just will never tick. If you keep refreshing it, you'll get the instant damage, but it'll never work. It just doesn't work properly. Fell Strike is basically a Warlock kill command for your Felguard. Only your Felguard, not your service Felguard. The tooltip is obviously wrong as well. It does not do 124 damage. It does way more than that. There's a bit of an interaction with... I'm in combat still. Oh, Doom just ticked. There's a bit of interaction with it because it might be a bug, but so Pursuit, if you toggle Pursuit off, which is your Doom or Felguard's charge, you can make him charge something, but then, if he stops whirlwinding in a moment here, you can also... There is a hidden charge or a charge in Fell Strike, which it doesn't say in the tooltip. It's in my notes to be reported. But for a PvP thing, you can make your Felguard stick really crazily to a target with this ability. It is just a kill command. It's on the global, and it does damage, and it has a 10-second cooldown, not reduced by haste, so it's very boring. But it's a very real possibility to help reposition your Felguard in certain situations, and its damage is fine. It just comes out of tuning, right? And Demonic Calling is similar to how it is on live. There's no instant cast Dreadstalkers, but this is Shadowbolt and Soulfire have a 20% chance to make your next call Dreadstalkers cost no shards. So that saves you on the shard economy in a way, so that you can use shards on your Imps, and your Hand will dance. So 20% chance obviously will come up here and there during the rotation. It gives you a bit of an RNG proc to react to. My initial reaction is that it's the best talent in the first tier just because of how things are working right now, but obviously I'm not a Warlock. So there's the proc right there. It lasts for 20 seconds. So once you start rolling in procs with Demonic Calling, it will always be active for your next summon. There's no reset mechanic. It just is always there, basically. Which is pretty straightforward. All right, yeah. Wait, get in there. Pretty okay. Summon Vile Fiend. I will have to take a moment to explain what might happen in a build for the Demonology Warlock, which this may or may not be a thing. There are lots of cooldowns for Demonology now. Lots. They've basically taken the playstyle of the Demonic Empowerment feel and give you the option to talent into this very summoner-based class, which I think is the whole point of what all the Demonology Warlocks wanted with the new build since Warlords, is that you can get a little overwhelmed with how many spells you have that you can summon other demons with. So Vile Fiend, though, is just basically a big boy Dreadstalker. You will, if I'm going to get in combat real quick here. He costs 1 soul shard, 45-second cooldown, 40-yard range, 2-second cast before haste. It's a Vile Fiend that lasts for 15 seconds. When it summons, it will do a spit dot attack. There it goes. Which lasts 10 seconds when he's up for 15, and he just smacks the target. That's all he does. I think he recasts his spit. Actually, let me see. He might not. Nope. So it's just a super Dreadstalker. Don't look at numbers. Numbers don't matter right now, right? So it's a super Dreadstalker if you want to summon more of them. But again, going back to the Demonic Commander, having more demons out if you have the right haste or during heroism or whatever plateaus you hit, right? Casting a whole bunch of demons out and then giving them more damage and lasting longer is a core part of the whole zoo aspect here. Power Siphon, I will talk about, but then pass over for the moment. It's a 1-minute cooldown where you will sacrifice up to 4 of your wild imps to generate 4 charges of Molten Core. The 4 charges of Molten Core, of course, will cap you out on your 4 charges, so you have to be kind of careful you don't even have any to begin with. But Power Siphon has burst potential and a lot of movement potential by giving you lots of Molten Core charges. And then Riders quite literally is just empowered Hand of Gul'dan, even though it doesn't actually say that, and the name of the talent is kind of weird. Hand of Gul'dan has a 25% chance per soul shard spent to spawn an additional wild imp. You quite literally just, when you normally would spawn your imps, you just get 5 imps. Which has potential because, again, of Implosion. Every imp in Implosion does explode. So if you have 5 imps out, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, every imp blows up in Implosion there. So having more imps, Riders, or improved Hand of Gul'dan, whatever they're going to call it eventually, does give you more AoE potential if that is the talent you're going to go for. Because Power Siphon and Vile Fiend are both very single target. If you're looking at it in that regard, right? Because the tooltip that is on Implosion doesn't say it does this, but it calls all of your wild imps towards the target and then cause them to violently explode, dealing Shadow Flame damage to all enemies within 8 yards. And if the explosion hits 3 or more enemies, you have a 50% chance to generate a soul shard. So AoEing lots of targets has a very high chance to give you back a soul shard, to then give you imps faster, to then Implosion again. I was told that Not was going through either on his stream or on the Warlock Discord about how the feedback loop on damage with Implosion right now, because of tuning, outweighs Soulfire. But not casting Soulfire without getting Molten Core procs gives you less soul shards. But that's the trade-off if you're AoEing once tuned properly. To AoE properly with Implosion gives you a chance to get back a shard to get you back on the summoning more imps with Hand of Gul'dan that does AoE damage, of course, and to Implosion yet again. Whereas obviously Soulfire is very single target focused, giving you 2 soul shards, but the damage is a little bit wonky right now. So we'll see about when that comes into play in the future. Now, I'm going to show off Bile Scourge Bombers. I'm going to keep putting all the buttons on my bars here just so you can see what happens. Bile Scourge Bombers is 2 soul shard, 3-second cooldown. Again, it's just basically Rain of Fire that's been reskinned. The animation obviously isn't final. There's no sound effects or anything yet. It's just this. They last for... We think they last for 5 seconds with the 0 on the spawning of the circle, but we also timed it at like 6 and 7 seconds. So there might be some haste interactions there. The tooltip doesn't have a duration. I'm putting in my notes to report it. Demonic Strength, very boring. Don't really have anything to show off with this one. It feels like a PvP talent to me. 1 minute cooldown where you infuse your Felguard with demonic power, increasing all damage it deals. Just your Felguard, not your service Felguard. We tested that. By double. It doubles its damage for 20 seconds. So it's kind of just like Demonic Empowerment for your main pet. But coupled with Fell Strike, and again, the possibility of the PvP possibility interaction there is a real possibility that that is a good change. Or again, target swapping or targets that take increased damage for short periods of time. Demonic Strength, Fell Strike could really be a bursty kind of a combo right there. But the better talent in this tier, I think, we're going to go Power Siphon Raging Imps. We're going to move these buttons around, though. Raging Imps, which, for whatever it means, these names might all be placeholder. Molten Core now makes Soulfire instant. When I said about the movement and mobility of a Demonology Warlock, obviously you have Burning Rush, Demon Skin for your passive reduction in damage, and then Dark Pact, even though it was changed to take your HP to make a large shield. Demonic Circle, of course, little healing for Molten Coil, and Dark Fury is just a reduction in the cooldown of Shadow Fury. But Demonic Circle having both buttons back is great. Movement, mobility, whatever. But Demonology still has to really tunnel. That's still part of the core here. However, doing a little bit of this... So you have to wait for your imps to spawn. There's currently a bug with Power Siphon. There's 4 Molten Core stacks. there's burst potential there, but I put a thought out there also again with Demonic Calling. Having that many soul fires fired off so fast almost guarantees Demonic Calling procs to a degree, right? So you, again, more imps out to give you more molten cores after you've sacrificed them to give you 4 in the first place. But imagine, say, on Agrimar right now in Argus or Taurus the Burning Throne, when you have to move out from the huge AoE explosion, you can Hand of Gul'dan, sacrifice them, throw 2 soul fires as you walk out, toss in your imps and or your dreadstalkers when you're out of the AoE, and then have 2 more charges to throw them when you walk back in. And then again, imps when you walk back in, right? Or wherever you're setting up or wherever you're moving out of, and however that works. So the Power Siphon Raging Imps combo looks really, really neat in a excuse me, in a very mobile style that I don't think Demonology has it all on live. All you do when you move on live is hit Demon Wrath, I think, right? That's it. Just hit Demon Wrath, and that's all you can do. So this possibility, because A, this is instant, Power Siphon is, I'll show it off again. Power Siphon right now is broken. You have to make sure your imps are spawned because they have like a delay. So Power Siphon, we got a free proc there. We're gonna move. We got this. We got that. We got one of these. We got one of those. I got one of those. And we're back right back to imps. And then if you even want to for AoE, because that does destroy 8 wild imps. So there's a lot of possibility for either burst AoE or movement. This is a really neat combination. These 3 talents right there, I like that. Again, service is unchanged. You can buff your service Felguard with your Demonic Commander, which I'll show right here to make sure. So again, we're just stacking up these buttons, right? So if you Demonic Commander, after you summon this guy, he does get buffed, and he will last longer, because it only lasts for 25 seconds. He'll last for 40. So service by itself has burst potential on top of, again, Demonic Strength, Fell Strike, right? Like you're seeing these sort of like these cogwheels click into place if you're a Warlock player. I am not. I am a fledgling, but I, did a lot of this testing and worked on all this stuff during Legion and beyond and before that. Demonic Consumption, I'm not really going to show off because it's the most mathy talent I've seen in a very long time, and it's awkward, and it doesn't work properly now, or it does. I honestly have like half a page of notes on this to report to the devs on, is this working properly, or is it how it's supposed to be, or because you can't see imp energy, do you have to use weak auras to like make sure you're doing it the right? It's whatever. Demonic Consumption is kind of Thalkiel Consumption style. Is your Demonic Commander will now destroy and absorb the remaining power of your wild imps to empower himself. So what's weird about this is that your wild imps have a duration based on their energy. And they last for so long, and they dissipate or become Molten Core charges, which you haven't seen next to me yet. Let me see if I can get a proc here while I'm just sitting here. The Molten Core imps actually stand next to you as a fiery Molten Core charged imp until you throw it. Demonic Consumption eats the energy off of your imps. But Demonic Commander also gives 15 seconds of duration. So there's your little fiery imp right there, see him? Yeah, it actually has the Soulfire proc on it, so whoa! So it gives 15 seconds. But it takes all the current. And the math we've worked out right now is there is a steep cliff. Whereas if you summon 4 or 5 imps and immediately commander, he gets 75% more damage done. Which remember, he's also an AoE cooldown. Because if you waited at all, I tried to have out 10 imps. So using Riders, Empowered Hand of Gul'dan, whatever. Having out 10 imps, he pulls in the energy from the newest set, which gives him the largest amount, but the set that was already out previously has very little energy on it, and he only gained like 4% more damage or something like that. It was really, really low. So the ability to use Demonic Consumption properly seems currently to be Hand of Gul'dan, into Commander, and then he is your cooldown right there, right? It gives you an option to use him, it's this guy, right? He's a dude. As a more major cooldown versus having your imps out that are then buffed by the duration, and because he's supposed to absorb all of their energy and murder them, right? Destroy and absorb, but that doesn't work right now. Alpha. I'm not sure how that'll play in. And sacrifice souls is each soul shard spent reduces the cooldown of Demonic Commander by 1 second. So it's like kindling for fire mages. As you spend soul shards, your Demonic Commander cooldown reduces, which then we thought of possibilities of like Demonic Strength, Fell Strike with like a 1 minute cooldown on your Demonic Commander to pair up Demonic Strength with your Demonic Commander with your base Felguard, spamming Fell Strike during the duration as well because it does good damage. Little things. Very, very single target focus, remember, because your Fell Strike is single target and Legion Strike, the base ability on your pet, no longer cleaves. It just hits one target. But that could be a thing, maybe. That's numerical or playstyle based, possibly, but that's there. Inner Demons, which we can show off, but this one is super awkward. Soul Conquest, as I went over earlier, hasn't been changed except that it's 15% chance instead of 20. So, because you could really spend a lot more soul shards faster, I would say, on the... See, there he goes. There's the problem right there. Inner Demons summons an imp passively every 10 seconds. And every time it does summon an imp every 10 seconds, it has a 20% chance to also summon an additional demon that lasts for 15 seconds. But they have a tendency to always put you in combat, which you can see how that would be annoying and awkward. So that's obviously just a bug that right now they should just summon and not automatically start attacking things. We've done a couple of different tests where I didn't target anything and we just stood here. But once one puts you in combat, the other ones keep you in combat. Right? I want to leave Inner Demons on for a moment because the random demons that do spawn can be anything. We actually summoned Eyes of Gul'dan earlier in the VOD. We summoned Urzul Puppers, the big like demon dogs with like the 17 faces. We summoned Shrivara. We summoned a Demon Commander style guy. It's like the Eridar Brute, this guy. So, which makes me wonder if the Demon Commander model himself is placeholder. If you notice, the icon is like a Archimon, Kil'jaeden style Eridar with like a big back piece, which I wonder if that's supposed to be what it's supposed to be instead of this brute model that you saw there. So that could be a thing in the future. But that's what Inner Demons does. It's just a passive that has some interaction because it gives you more imps, and it could be good because you could time it with your... You can use Sacrifice Souls, right? Have more uptime on your Demon Commander, and then cast more Demon Commanders with more passive Inner Demons, and wait until you have like a big extra demon out, because it will extend the duration of that demon, which I'm waiting to see if we get a demon that spawns right now that isn't just a little baby one, because the imps don't matter, right, for this test. But we're not getting lucky right now because obviously, because I'm recording, it's not going to give me the right amount of RNG. It's only a 20% chance, so 1 in 5 every 10 seconds, right? But you can have a whole lot of imps. You can have a whole lot of demons out with this with a couple of different builds. Again, take Riders, for example. Empowered Hand of Gul'dan. Just a dumb ability name, talent. But there is something there that I think really sets this version of Demonology apart. And it's looking interesting. You'll have to let me know in the comments down below, of course, what you think. And we're not getting any extra big demons, because why would I? You know? Why would I? Why would I get any extra demons? Little hard cast Soulfire there because I misclicked. Little Molten Core. So we'll just do the Demonic Commander now, Demon Commander, because he will extend the duration of the Felguard. The service Felguard is just called Felguard, whereas yours obviously is named Klekzical. The last ability here, which I'll have to run really far away real quick because I need to get away from them to stop being in combat. They're going to last longer because of the commander's buff. Let me see if I can get out here real quick. And we'll talk about this one and I'll show it off at the end here. Oh, there's one right there after I, you know. Nether Portal. I have probably a half a page of notes on Nether Portal that I will be submitting. It costs 3 soul shards. 2.5 second cast before haste, 3-minute cooldown, 40-yard range. It stacks next to you, but like where the demons go, I guess. Where you tear open a portal to the twisting nether for 20 seconds. Every time you spend soul shards, not how many, every time you spend, you will also command demons from the nether to come and fight for you. The weird problem with this one, we're going to grab Vile Fiend. We're going to grab... That's fine, that's fine. This is just feels so dang good. Let's grab... That doesn't matter. We'll keep sacrificing here. We'll take another portal. This has a problem in functionality currently because every time you spend soul shards, you get 1 demon. And when you cast the spell in the first place. The issue that this promotes is a rotation that looks sort of like this. Shadow Bolt and a 1-stack Hand of Gul'dan. And I don't think that's supposed to be intentional because it locks you out of your core abilities. Right? It locks you out of your Dreadstalkers or hitting 4-stack Hand of Gul'dans, which gives you more chances for Molten Cores. So I'm not sure that's a thing. And again, every single demon that is summoned by the Nether Portal, if you time it properly, can be increased in duration with your demon commander. Get out of here. I don't know if that's the intentional point. The thoughts we had on this were that it should cast a demon per shard used, or even have like a 1, 2, 3, 4 sort of grading scale on the more shards spent during Nether Portal, the stronger the demon is when it gets spawned. Like it has like 0% extra damage at 1, but then like 15 and then 30% more damage at 2 and 4. Because everything else is 2 and 4, right? You can use bombers to summon it. Vile Fiend only costs 1, so Vile Fiend works to just cast right after the Nether Portal goes out. So you get the Nether Portal, you cast that, then you cast your Vile Fiend. That works. But the Shadow Bolt, Hand of Gul'dan for 1, and then I guess you have Demonic Calling, you could get a free cast. The Demonic Calling free cast does count towards Nether Portal. This talent right here, I'm not sure how it's going to work and if that's the way it's supposed to work, because at 20 seconds it almost forces a Shadow Bolt 1-stack Hand of Gul'dan, Shadow Bolt 1-stack Hand of Gul'dan the whole time to get out to a duration as many demons as possible, and then you commander. But that doesn't seem right. Like, you shouldn't be casting a 1-stack Hand of Gul'dan over and over again, and you can. But that goes back into how you playing now with the summon something demonic empowerment, summon something demonic empowerment, summon something demonic empowerment. Which I'm sure there's like 3 of you in the comments right now that like that playstyle, but overall, ick, right? That's just because of Thalkiel's Ascendance, right? Your new trait, that's gone. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure how this works. I'm not sure how the balancing between your Implosion and actually letting the imps last their duration to give you Soulfire, Molten Core procs will be. I don't know. But that is currently where Demonology sits in this build, which I think this is a lot better overall because you're not just buffing your demons, you're just summoning them and letting them do their thing, which I think is a way more interactive feel than the Adverse, which is really boring. because you need to feel like you're summoning demons from the Twisting Nether, not that you're just summoning the same 2 over and over again, or same 4, and then just buffing them. So, if you have any questions or comments about Demonology, it may have been answered in the big VOD, so check that out. It'll be linked in the end card here when it gets up, or of course it'll be just on the playlist for my testing. What do you think of Demonology, though? I think there's some potential here. I personally like the Power Siphon, Raging Imp, Demonic Calling, probably Soul Conduit possibility, due to the fact that you could just really rail off a ton of imps after you get rolling, and the movement potential is definitely there compared to how it isn't currently for Demonology now, which is a huge sore spot. But that is where Demonology currently lands. Outside of numbers tuning, which doesn't really matter a whole lot because numbers are always the last thing that they work on. That has been the Demonology Warlock. Again, let me know in the comments down below what's your favorite thing about it. It's the demonic circle 2 buttons, am I right? It's definitely that. There's no other thing that's better than that for warlocks. Even though you did it with macros and stuff, and that's fine, but still, honestly. 1 button, honestly. That's it, though. Again, thank you for watching. If you want more alpha coverage, beta coverage as the expansion unfolds behind the scenes there, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out the Twitch channel if you want to watch all the live nitty-gritty, super in-depth stuff happening. Again, questions, hit me up on Twitter, links down below, or in the comment section on this video. And until the next Warlock, I will see you all in the next Legion Alpha and or Beta testing video.